Last July, OUYA launched a Kickstarter that broke Kickstarter records. It was a game console that ran on mobile hardware using the Android operating system. They're shipping the device to early Kickstarter backers later this month, and they brought the hardware with them to GDC. We're heading there now to get our first hands-on on the device.
We've taken OUYA to market in a very different way. We started with, we have this idea, we put it out to the market 9 months ago and said, do you want this? And we heard a lot of positive responses, and therefore we started building OUYA. And throughout the process, we've worked with our early supporters to refine our hardware, to perfect our controller, and we're going to do the same on software. Our hardware is baked, but the software, like any software business, will continue to evolve over time and get better as we add additional features and functionality that our supporters want.
The device itself, the actual box, looks and feels really nice. It's very small, has a lot of ports on the back of it. The control, on the other hand, was a little less impressive. The buttons felt spongy, the D-pad didn't feel very sharp, the latency on the controller felt high. And while the hardware won't change, what will be changing is the software.
We built OUYA to be a great game console, to bring innovative, creative, exclusive content to the television, to bring new types of developers to the television for the first time. By being open, anybody can develop for OUYA. We hope they'll want to build games to be part of the OUYA experience and optimize for the television and the controller and provide a great experience for gamers. And if it's a great app, our discovery process will have it bubble to the top and everybody will find it. So it won't be about a one-to-one relationship. They'll be able to speak to all of our gamers.
What we saw today was still an early version of the interface. It has 4 main sections: play, discover, make, and manage. Manage is your system settings. Play is where all of your games are, but discover and make are the more interesting ones. Discover is the storefront. And OUYA has a lot of ideas on how to help discoverability. Their big focus is on engagement and on fun, not on metrics like most popular or highest grossing in revenue. It's under the Make channel where you'll be able to sideload apps. Also, part of their open promise is that they're not going to really be policing apps the same way. As long as apps follow the community user guidelines, that's enough for them. For example, under the Play section, they had an emulator that featured a little Nintendo controller. And when we asked if they were going to allow emulators on the service, they said as long as they support the content guidelines, meaning they can release an emulator, but they can't release the ROMs for the emulator. So right now, OUYA is sticking to its guns. They're saying that they're going to allow emulators on the service, which could be popular for a lot of people, if not popular with major content owners like Nintendo.
We have over 8,000 developers that have downloaded the ODK, and as you mentioned, a lot of the content that's on the box today is really TV exclusives and OUYA exclusives. Most of our developers are experienced game developers that have never built an Android game before. We're not seeing a lot of ports. As it relates to games that exist on other platforms, they're taking the time to optimize it for the television and the controller, and it really depends on what game they're starting with.
So how does the first video game console backed on Kickstarter feel? It feels just like it felt when they first announced it. It feels like it has a lot of potential energy. It's exciting, it's new, it's interesting, it's innovative in a lot of ways. But when you actually play it in your hand, it feels rough. It feels like they have a lot of work to do to make this something that people are really going to feel like they need. They still need big major exclusives. They still need a system that feels as sharp and responsive as the competition. And for an iterative platform that's built to evolve, there's no saying that they won't get there. But what we saw today still feels like an early alpha product. So maybe by the end of the year, once they've had a lot of software updates, once they have more games, once they've worked on some of the issues like controller latency, they might have a hit product. But for right now, it still needs work.